Thursday evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us on UpNorthLive Unscripted at 6:30. Well, it's been a pretty nice day all across northern Michigan. A lot of blue skies and sunshine and some warmer temperatures. But Joe has been talking about the lunar eclipse happening tonight, and for folks who want to actually see this happening, will we have any clouds or will it be a good view?
You know, it's one of those interesting nights, Maya, where it's not going to be like a clear night.
Okay.
But it's also not going to be where it's completely overcast either. We'll have some high and mid-level clouds going through. But I think a fair showing, I would hope, for most spots tonight. Are you going to stay up maybe? Check it out?
Maybe. I mean, we have a show at 11:30, so might as well stay up a few more hours.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, we'll talk more about that a little later. And a warm-up, when the peak of this is going to be tomorrow and Saturday.
Okay.
In fact, I think our warmest spots tomorrow already may reach 70 degrees. So we'll look at that and have a look at the rest of the forecast in a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Joe. Let's start off with our top story tonight. A deep dive into a Grand Traverse County Township zoning rules led to a legal opinion that the Department of Natural Resources has to follow local zoning standards. Now, East Bay Township's attorney said the DNR needs to submit a site plan for review to the township regarding the state park project. The DNR did do that, but now other townships are following suit with the DNR projects happening in their jurisdiction. Our Allie Baxter explains.
We would have been fine if the DNR was not subject to zoning, but upon taking a closer look at it, our understanding is they are subject to zonings.
Claire Carner is the Director of Planning and Zoning for East Bay Township. She's been working closely recently with the DNR on their state park project, after the township's legal counsel determined the DNR needs to abide by the township's zoning standards.
It was more about procedure, so we just wanted to make sure that we were going through the correct procedure.
As Carner explains, their zoning standards are pretty black and white.
A certain number of parking spaces, certain number of trees for landscaping, building frontage, those types of things.
Here, the DNR has a use by right, meaning
uses that are permitted in a certain district, so a certain part of the community, and as long as specific standards are met, then the township has to approve those.
That's not the same case in Peninsula Township, where the DNR wants to upgrade 2 boat launches at East Shore and Bowers Harbor.
You know, there are giant potholes that you could go fishing in right there in the parking lot. So we're not oblivious to that. We want it fixed just as much as everybody else.
2 months ago, Peninsula Township held a special meeting for residents to share any comments or concerns about the projects. Now, to proceed with plans, the DNR must submit a special use permit to the township for review.
Any changes on property within the township, especially something that's on a non-conforming lot like the boat launch is, it is originally at its core zoned residential coastal, and it's currently used for outside activities. Yes, we do need to vet that through the proper channels here at the township.
No application for a permit has been submitted yet, but township officials say they're in touch with the DNR.
This is the relationship between the township and the DNR being able to work together to find a solution that works for everybody here in the township. But because it is the DNR, it's a solution that works for everybody in the state and our visitors.
In a phone call with Casey Klein, who works with the Cadillac DNR district, Klein explained getting local approval for DNR projects is uncharted territory, and it's something the department is taking a closer look at statewide. In Grand Traverse County, Allie Baxter, UpNorthLive News.
And Allie is joining us live now from our content center. Allie, this is a bit of a complicated story. There's really a lot to it. So let's go back to the beginning. Where did this entire conversation, or why did it start?
Yeah, Maya, absolutely. This is a pretty in-depth story. So going back to the beginning, it started with just East Bay Township wanted to take a closer look at some of their zoning authority, their zoning standards, and they said, we just wanted to go through and make sure we were following all of our own procedures. And with that, with the current DNR project that was going on, they wanted an attorney's opinion to explain, hey, are they actually obligated to come to us because technically they're within our township jurisdiction? They wanted to know, hey, do they have to follow some of our local zoning standards? And after an attorney looked at it, they did agree with that. They said, hey, actually, I think you should reach out to the DNR and say that they need to submit a site plan to review. So that's what ended up happening, and they reached out to the DNR's attorneys as well, and they concurred with that.
So before this decision, the DNR really didn't need to reach out with local townships about their zoning standards?
It just wasn't standard practice, and it's something that we've seen I think a lot of times when we've reported on different DNR projects, different state projects that's going on, it doesn't really always seem that the local township, the local municipalities have a say. If it is, especially like when talking about the DNR, if it's their land, okay, well, then they can do whatever they need to on it. They can do their upgrades, they can do their redesigns. But in this case, they actually had an attorney take a closer look at it and say, oh, okay, actually, the way that our zoning standards are written, we do believe that the DNR does have to comply, at least with our zoning specific standards.
Sure. So how much say does the township, let's use East Bay Township, for example, we know there's a project that the DNR is leading at the Traverse City State Park. How much say does the township have in those sort of project decisions?
Yeah, that was my main question as well. That's what I ended up asking Claire Carner is where, like, because zoning is so complicated, right? So I said, where is the line here of how much say that the township actually has? I was like, can the DNR comes and proposes something that the township doesn't like, can they just kind of vote it down and say, no, you can't move forward with this? Obviously, on top of a lot of people's minds right now is that pedestrian bridge and the removal of it. And the way that Claire Carner explained it to me is that it's so specific to just their zoning standards. So right now there's a lot of trees coming down at the Traverse City State Park. She said, that's an example of our zoning standards. That's what falls under our zoning standards is how many trees you can have, how many trees you can cut down, how many parking spaces you have. She said those are very specific for our zoning standards. But when it comes to the pedestrian bridge removal, she said that's honestly not even in our jurisdiction. It's honestly more so in MDOT's realm than it is even in our realm because it goes over a state highway.
So if people in East Bay Township were upset with the removal of the pedestrian bridge, they can't go to their township leaders and try to get them to do something because at this point their hands are tied when it comes to something like that.
Yeah, and I will say as well that Claire did tell me today that they are having meetings and there are different suggestions being presented to the DNR and hopefully, like, I know a lot of people want that pedestrian bridge to stay. It does look like it's probably going to be removed, but a positive thing to look forward to is that overall, East Bay is kind of taking a closer look at that 31 corridor right there. They are hoping to transform it into more of a pedestrian-friendly area in general. So even if that pedestrian bridge does go away, Carner was telling me today that they have plans, hopefully in the future, to add more pedestrian-friendly crossings, maybe a little further up the road, in an area that is within their jurisdiction.
Gotcha. And this was something that was kind of mentioned in your story already. So just to reiterate, what is the benefit of the DNR working with local jurisdictions for their projects?
Yeah, I would say going especially to Peninsula Township, they said, hey, we want to work together to ensure that everyone's voice is being heard here, that at the end of the day, that even though the DNR does have the use of right, at least in some of these areas, to do whatever they want to with this project, that ultimately it is affecting the township residents, it's affecting our visitors that come here as well. And so by working together and having kind of an extra oversight process, it assures that everyone's on the same page.
Sure. Anything else that you want to mention, Allie, about your story that we haven't touched on yet?
Yeah, I would just say one element that I did reach out to the DNR about today was in going through a little bit more of these township processes. We know in Peninsula it's going to be a special use permit. Stuff like that takes a little bit longer to go through. So I asked if this is going to delay anything. And they said they don't believe that this will delay anything so that it compromises the projects.
All right, Allie, thanks so much for joining us from our content center, going into a little more detail on your story. Like we mentioned, it is a little complicated, but I think you broke it down very well for us. So thanks so much for that.
Thank you.
And speaking of projects happening around the Grand Traverse area and Leelanau County in this specific case, the Michigan Department of Transportation has announced a start date for all the work that's going to be happening at the intersection of M72 and M22 in Traverse City and Elmwood Township. So MDOT is planning on rebuilding 2.2 miles of Grandview Parkway from Division Street and Bayshore Drive to Cherry Bend Road in Elmwood Township. Now the work is officially scheduled to kick off on March 21st. The plans include building a roundabout at the intersection of M72 and M22, and also it includes installing new sidewalks and some other improvements. Now, MDOT says one lane will be open in each direction at most times, but some short duration lane closures will be needed. Now, the work is estimated to be complete sometime in mid-November. We have Much more detail on this plan on our website, UpNorthLive.com. But kind of staying in the same realm here, we're going to continue talking about different roads and specifically some in Grand Traverse County. So spring is right around the corner, and with that, it brings out a lot of beautiful things. The birds are chirping, the flowers will hopefully soon start to bloom, but it also means the return of a lot of potholes. Well, now in Grand Traverse County, there's actually an app that you can use to report a pothole. And not only hopefully will make it easier for drivers, because if it gets reported, it'll get fixed sooner. It also makes it easier for the people who are in charge of fixing our roads because they know exactly where they need to fill these potholes. Mark Gillette has much more on that story.
We are in pothole season.
You don't have to be one of the road experts at the Grand Traverse County Road Commission to know that. You just have to drive around a little.
We have a lot of freeze-thaw happening right now.
Which leads to potholes, which leads to frustrated drivers, which used to lead to a lot of phone calls here to report the problems, which they're fine with.
I feel like it is our duty. We work for the public.
That hasn't changed, but something that has may mean a lot fewer phone calls to report problems.
We do have a service request, or what we're calling citizen reporter, that is a crowdsourcing application that can be used for individuals that are out in the field or they're driving on the road and they see a pothole.
Yep, right there on the Road Commission's website is the Citizen Reporter app, and it's proven to be a game changer.
I believe that these tools, this technology, has helped us increase our efficiency tenfold.
Here's how. Drivers can use the free and publicly available app and report a wide range of road problems, issues, and concerns, pinpointing the exact location, what's happening, and they can even provide a picture.
It sends a service request directly to our foreman. Our foreman received that service request. Then they push that service request to whatever crew is needed.
It efficiently gets crews to the work and updates drivers on the progress of the repair.
It's a great tool for understanding and helping the public be heard.
Statewide, not many road commissions utilize a program like this, but here they think it not only makes them more reachable, transparent, and efficient, it also creates a ton of usable data that allows them to be better stewards of our precious road funding dollars.
And maybe there is a section of road that we've been doing lots of service requests on, we've been doing tons of potholes on, and we can start to see some patterns that will tell us that really is this a road that needs to have a different fix to it.
It's newer technology to tackle an age-old problem, but one that this innovative road commission believes serves both those who use as well as those who maintain our roads.
We know that we can't get to every single issue out there in a day, but we can with the tools like our work order management system, like our Citizen Reporter app. We can make sure that the citizens are heard and we are reacting to what they're requesting.
And it's not just potholes that you can report on the app. It's really any concern with roads that can all be addressed. Now, again, it is a free app. It's on their website, and you don't have to sign up for anything. And status updates are made in a pretty timely manner. All right, let's take a look at our question of the day related to potholes and roads. How would you grade the roads in your community? A, B, C, D, or F? Scan the QR code on your screen right now. That'll take you to our website where you can vote. It looks like right now a lot of people, majority of voters, are not super happy with the roads in their community. We will look at the live results more at the end of the show and read some of your comments as well. But right now, let's take a quick commercial break. But coming up in just a couple of minutes, Joe will have much more on your forecast for our Friday and the upcoming weekend. Stay with us.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, the big story happening tonight is the lunar eclipse. And Joe mentioned earlier that we're not going to have total cloud coverage, but it's not going to be a completely clear night either.
Yeah, it'll be kind of like some high and mid-level clouds, I think,
Okay.
In spots. But how exciting. It's not every night you have something like this going on, you know. Most nights you go home, you go to bed.
That's it.
But if you're up late tonight, yeah, total eclipse of the heart. Let's take a look here. Isn't that what the song is? Something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. Here it is. Let's take a look. We'll kind of time this out for you tonight. So this is after midnight. You're going to have to stay up late. The partial eclipse, and you can see what that will look like. We've got the moon there on the right side. That's around 1:09 a.m. By 2:30, the total eclipse will begin. And then the maximum eclipse will be right at about 3 o'clock. So just before 3 a.m. And the moon will look red. They call it the blood moon for that reason. It's going to look reddish, kind of the same reason we get because the moon is between the Earth, I should say, is between the sun and the moon. So it's blocking the sunlight. And so you get that kind of scattering of the sunlight, and it looks reddish. The total eclipse ends around 3:30, and then the whole thing kind of ends by about 5 a.m. So that's what's coming up tonight. All right, temperatures, we have 40s and 50s out there right now. These are the current readings here as we close in on 10 minutes to 7. The national picture tonight, we're watching this big area of low pressure out west. A lot of snow, a lot of rain in California, the western states, even into Arizona and parts of Utah. Some heavy snowfall. That is going to gradually spin toward the upper Great Lakes. Here's kind of the satellite picture tonight and radar combined. The other thing with this is it's not necessarily our area here, but there's the potential for maybe one of our bigger severe weather outbreaks of the season so far. That risk starts tomorrow. It's kind of centered there around St. Louis, where a moderate risk for severe weather exists. Not so much up in our area. South of Ludington, you might get a stronger storm. Highly doubtful for our region, though. And then Saturday, that severe weather area will shift. This is kind of a dangerous situation for these folks. They're talking the potential maybe for some long track damaging tornadoes in some of these spots Friday through Saturday. Back home, we don't have to worry about that. Quiet weather. There's a little bit of the cloud cover tonight that we were talking about for the eclipse. Maybe a shower in the UP tomorrow, but otherwise our best chance for rain right there. Saturday morning. And then Saturday afternoon, we could see a couple showers and storms popping up in the afternoon. Heating right there. And then we cool behind this enough where, look at Sunday, yeah, a little snow maybe for the second half of the weekend. So we'll keep an eye on that too. As far as the extended forecast is concerned, well, Saturday is going to be an interesting day because we do have that chance for a shower or thunderstorm, but I also think some sunshine. It will be breezy and warm. And then Sunday, yeah, the temperatures come crashing down, 30s. We'll see a chance for some snow showers. And then next week, I want to point out a week from now on Thursday, you see 28 and 33. That's the first day of spring. Could be dealing with some accumulating snow. So we're not quite done with that quite yet.
It's very northern Michigan
Very
spring.
much, yeah.
All right, thanks so much, Joe. We are going to take another quick break, but sports is next, so don't go anywhere just yet. We'll be right back. March is in full swing, which means a very exciting time for basketball, not just at the college level, but also high school basketball right here in northern Michigan. For more, let's bring in our sports director, Harrison Beebe, joining us live now from our content center. Hey, Harrison.
Yeah, Maya, it's a slow day for me today when the boys basketball semifinals are taking place down at the Breslin Center. I actually looked deep in the archives. The region of northern Michigan for the viewing area hasn't not had a representative in the boys basketball semifinals. The last time that was completely left off the books was the year 2000. So 25 years ago was the last time we didn't at least have a boys basketball team in the state semifinals. On a more positive note, we've got two girls teams still left, and I'm feeling pretty confident in one of them. St. Ignace is the #1 ranked team in Division IV. They have a quarterfinal to play, but we'll see if the Saints can live up to that hype. Frankfort, though, a little under the radar as a repeat regional champion this year, and the Panthers won another regional last night. They have a chance to make another trip to the Breslin Center next week if they can get through the quarterfinals. We caught up with head coach Tim Resnich and the only senior on the team, Savina Anhalt, in our latest Jimmy John Sports Corner. Take a listen.
The following segment is sponsored by Jimmy John's of Traverse City.
I got to be honest, I never had any doubt in this team, and the girls knew that from the start. We really take the regular season as practice for the tournament, and those girls knew that. They didn't panic when we did start out 0-3. So you got to give them all the credit in the world. They listened and believed in us, right? Believed in the coaching staff. They believed in themselves. And this is what happens when they do that, right? When they commit and they believe.
Statistic continues again that the month of March we see a Frankfort team, boys or girls, in the final week of the season. So how proud does it make you to know that you're continuing that legacy?
As long as they keep sending me good kids like this, we'll keep that rolling. It's just so much fun working with these kids.
I love to represent our culture every time we step on the court. And every time we work our butts off. We're just doing it for our school, and we hope we represent it well.
What does that mean to you to shake that early rust off and really achieve the same heights?
At the beginning of the year, we were really just defining our roles as a team and figuring out how to play with each other. And over the season, we were able to do that very well. And, of course, now this is our results.
What do we got to do to see the purple hair dye come back?
There's no contract on the wall this year, but you know what? We'll see how it goes. These kids, I owe them everything, so we'll see how that goes.
Number one goal is to get there first, and then we will decide as a team what we want to do to our coach's hair.
You know what, if Frankfurt ends up winning a state title this year, which there's a lot of ways to go, but if they end up pulling that off, I'll dye my hair purple. I'll make that promise right now.
We're holding you to it, Harrison. You heard it right here in Unscripted, folks. All right, we're all out of time, Harrison. Thanks so much for joining us. We had to take another break, but we'll be right back with our question of the day in just a couple of minutes.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
How would you grade the roads in your community? As you can see, 35% of voters giving their roads an F, only 2% saying an A. On Facebook, Richard says, great in Sheboygan County. Michael says, I've drove on dirt roads that are smoother. And Patty says, our roads in northern Michigan are so much better than they are downstate. I love the optimism there, Patty. That'll do it for Up North Live Unscripted on this Thursday evening. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope to see you back here at 11 o'clock. Take care, everyone.